All right, so we are recording. All right, so just to give everybody knowledge, right? So the final is next Thursday, the 30th. Needs to be completed by 3 p.m., but you can take it at any time. It is open. And we have gotten permission that you can take it at any time. We don't have to do it at the final exam scheduled hours. But you do have to have it completed by 3 o'clock on April the 30th. Let's see here. Last day to submit anything to me for this class is also the April the 30th. So yeah, get everything in, turned in, because April 30th is the last day. And let's see here. So let's do a review for the final. And what we'll do, all right, there's 2 hours, I believe it's 80 questions.
Did you have very many people join Tuesday for the review?
Not too many, no. I had a few, but
More than today?
Yeah, more than today, right? So what I'll do though is instead of us going through and answering it, because we probably won't get through all of them. I don't, because there's 80 of them. Yeah, so we're not going to do all 80, but we'll do a subset. But we'll just go ahead and get the answers, and then we'll just go through. All right, and then this way. Let me just, in case someone joins here or if you had a question. But all right, so you've been tasked with configuring a SOHO network in which all ports on the public untrusted network will be forwarded to one workstation connected to the LAN. Which of the following features will you configure on the SOHO router to accomplish this task? All right. And so experience a network in which all ports on the public untrusted network will be forwarded to one workstation connected to the LAN. All right, so this is a demilitarized zone, sort of, but yeah, it is. It's definitely not port forwarding or quality of service or MAC filtering. Yeah. We won't go out. We'll go into further in our networking class as to what a demilitarized zone is, but for this one, that's good enough. A technician wants to configure a DHCP server to guarantee that certain printers always receive the same address. Which of the following should the technician configure? And then that's the address reservation, right? So, in the reservation, you would need the default gateway, you would need the subnet mask. They're part of a DHCP scheme or scope, but you want to do the reservation. A VPN tunnel is obviously not the answer, but you can reserve an address for a machine based on its MAC address, and it will get the same address IP every time. A Windows user is attempting to exit a locked up desktop application that is not responding to mouse or keyboard. Which of the following steps can be taken to end the application process without exiting other applications? All right, and so, obviously, pressing the power button, hold it for 5 seconds might resolve your issue, but that's a little harsh. Restarting Windows and then relaunch the application, once again, a little much. Open task scheduler and in the scheduled task associated with the application, and it's not a scheduled task, it's just an application, so it's open task manager and in the process associated with the application is the correct answer. I mean, A and B will work. They're just not as good as D. Not as time consuming as, D's a lot less time consuming and a lot less brute force. All right, Derek's supervisor is concerned that the company's security system does not comply with the new standards the company has decided to employ. She has asked Derek to determine how members of the company are authenticated on the network. What does the computer or server use to verify the access to a specific resource on the network? All right, so login scripts are, they're not going to verify access. Directory permissions, well, they're, not access, well, just access to directories, not specific resources. So, I mean, it's kind of technically, because access control lists, that's the directory permissions are one form of an access control list. so B is kind of a quasi okay answer. And then, of course, digital certificate is not correct, but it is the access control list. And that defines our access to resources on networks and computers too. Which of the following indicates the most concise abbreviation of the IPv6 address? And then it's got quite a few zeros. And then so that one is just answer C, the FE : 2:0:0:1. So yeah, IPv6, gotta love them. Yeah. I mean, they're rules, right? All these zeros get squashed into 2 colons, and then all these zeros you can abbreviate, I guess, with the 0:0 because they're the same. So that's fairly simple, but they have some pretty complex rules. A technician wants to use a time machine backup to install a new copy of the Mac OS onto a Mac. Which of the following tools will the technician use to perform this task? And then so he's wanting to restore from the backup, right? So it's recovery, Mac OS recovery. Mark has been asked to set up several smartphones to connect to his company's email server. The company wants Mark to set them up so they can be synchronized between multiple email clients on multiple devices. What protocol should Mark use to set up the company's smartphone? All right. So he wants them to be synchronized. That's the key, and that's so IMAP does synchronization, right? VPN gives us access to the network. Bluetooth, gives access to a device. POP3 does not synchronize the mail, but you can get mail, and IMAP will synchronize the mail, and you can get mail. So C is the best answer. Jacob wants to set up extra security on his wireless network. He currently uses WPA2. He wants to allow only his devices to connect to the network and reject devices that he does not own. What extra wireless security should Jacob employ on his wireless router? All right. So port forwarding will give us no security. Disable the SSID broadcasting does give us some security, but it's not going to reject any devices. Just makes it hidden. WPS, is not going to help us either. And then MAC filtering is the correct answer, where you put in a list of the MAC addresses that have access and anybody else gets rejected. All right. A user is unable to install virtualization software on a Windows 8.1 computer. User verified the host has sufficient RAM, plenty of available disk space, and a multi-core processor, which the following is most likely the cause for the behavior. And then Windows 8 does support Type 2, so that A is incorrect. The motherboard does not support hardware-assisted virtualization. That's very likely, or it's turned off, right? The support may be turned off. The user does not have a valid product license key. That's not correct. And the system is incompatible with Type 1 hypervisors. And that's incorrect because, well, we'll only be using a Type 2 because we have an operating system already installed. Type 1 is an operating system, so we wouldn't be dealing with Windows 8. The touchscreen on a mobile device is not responding to input. Which of the following is the best step to take to resolve this issue? Remove and replace the screen. Don't know about you, but I don't think I'd ever want to do that. Perform a factory reset on the device, they say, is the correct answer. Using the settings app to recalibrate the touchscreen, no. Close on responsive apps, no. I myself would probably turn off the phone and maybe remove the battery and then try it before I do a factory reset. But seeing how that's the only answer we have, we'll go with that. While servicing a laser printer, the technician notices the paper is jamming immediately after being pulled from the paper tray. What is the most likely cause of the paper jam? And right, paper feed rollers could definitely cause a paper jam, and especially right after trying to pick up the paper. Transfer rollers usually aren't going to cause a jam. The image drum, or even any of these, I guess, could, but most of the time, almost always, it's your paper feed causing the jam. Yeah. Smartphone user entered an incorrect passcode on his phone several times in a row, which locked the device. Which of the following steps should the user take first? Well, disabling full device encryptions, well, it's locked, so he can't get in and do that. Turn off multi-factor authentication. Once again, it's locked, can't get in. Perform a reset on the device. That's probably not a great idea. And then wait in a few minutes for the phone to automatically unlock, or be able to try again, is the best answer. A small group of travelers is meeting inside an ancient building, and the travelers need access to the internet using their mobile devices. However, the group is in an area where Wi-Fi internet is not available and cellular coverage is intermittent. One of the travelers has an unlimited cellular data plan and a strong, consistent signal. Which of the following methods would most likely be implemented to provide internet service to the group? And then a mobile hotspot. Yeah, I think that's enough said on that. A user wants to make sure he can quickly restore his computer after a drive failure to the state it was in when Windows and all its apps were initially installed. Which backup type will be the most useful in this scenario? So he wants everything exactly, including all apps. So file history is not going to help with that because it just does the files. A system image backup will do that. It copies everything and gets the state of the system at that point in time. System restore, it has restore points, and it's similar. And then restore points. Okay, and all its apps were initially installed. So system restore and restore points are points in time after the installation, whereas a system image backup you should take right at the time, I guess, is what they're talking about. But that's semantics. So test once B, system image backup. It is the more correct answer. Um, Jordan is talking with a client on the phone. Jordan's company recently completed updates on the client system and something is not working properly. The client asked Jordan why the company is always doing updates, and Jordan explained the updates help to secure computer systems. What specific vulnerability do updates help prevent? I don't like these answers. It's definitely not going to prevent a denial of service attack. It's not going to prevent a man in the middle. It's not going to prevent a brute force attack. Um, it, I, I have a hard time saying it's zero-day attack because a zero-day attack is a bug in the system that nobody knows about, including the manufacturer or the creator. So how you could create an update that would prevent a zero-day attack um, is very unlikely. The updates are to help prevent exploits, people exploiting known vulnerabilities, because we have to know about them in order to create an update. But given that A, B, and C are completely false, we'll give a 0 day a shot. But the whole idea of a 0 day is that you don't know what's broken, so how could you have an update for it? But it might, because you made an update, it might prevent a 0 day that was unknown, that you fixed unintentionally. In which of the following situations should you install an IPS instead of an IDS? All right, so an intrusion prevention system instead of an intrusion detection system. All right, so A is you want to document any instance of malicious activity on your LAN. No, I mean, both can do that, um, or at least hopefully do that. You want to block a single MAC address from accessing your LAN. No, that's not what either one of them is for. You want to block unauthorized activity on your LAN from the internet, and that is the intrusion prevention system will be able to actually take action and block unauthorized activity, whereas the intrusion detection system will just log. It won't block. So C is correct. And you want to improve access times to frequently access websites. That's definitely neither one of these do that. So C is our best answer. A technician mistakenly uninstalled an application that is crucial for the productivity of the user. Which of the following utilities will allow the technician to correct this issue? Right, computer management, it allows you to manage users and disks and things like that, but not restore anything. So the system restore can help you with the missing application, which is why I said in the last question when we had an imaging, the system image and system restore, it was very hard to choose between them because they really both do similar things. And system configuration is not going to get us anywhere in component services. We're not managing components, so we want to restore an app. All right. You're preparing to give a presentation at a client's location using your mobile device and a large screen TV. You have successfully connected to the company's guest Wi-Fi network, and you tap the screen mirroring option on your device, but cannot locate an available TV, monitor, or projector. The previous presenter finished her presentation a few minutes earlier and had no issues using the TV. Which of the following is the most likely reason for this behavior? All right, so the brightness control of the large screen TV set too low. Well, no, they just used it, so it's very unlikely. The mobile device does not support display mirroring. Well, no, it actually has that option. So the mobile device is on a different Wi-Fi network than the TV, and that's very, very likely. And the large screen TV is connected to the wrong network segment. It's technically kind of the same answer, but yeah, but C is the best answer. Technician who was signed into a Windows 10 computer as a local administrator accessed the local security policy console and changed the lock screen time out from 10 minutes to 60 minutes. After the technician completed the change, the user signed into Active Directory and discovered that the setting had reverted to 10 minutes. What can the technician do to keep the setting from reverting from 60 minutes to 10 minutes? All right, so the lock screen timeout of 60 minutes is not within the allowable range. That's incorrect. The lock screen timeout settings need to be made at the Active Directory OU GPO, which is true. You need to put it close to the user. I'm just trying to see, did they even say where? Oh, yeah, they changed the local policy. Okay, so that's it. So they changed it on the local machine, but Active Directory overwrites the local machine. So Active Directory still had 10 minutes. Doesn't matter what the local machine's policy says. If you're in Active Directory, Active Directory wins. The lock screen timeout policy does not apply to Windows 10, and that's incorrect. And a technician should run the GP update F command on the local computer. That would help if you changed an Active Directory GPO, but they did a local policy. So the GP update's not going to help out in this scenario. Your mobile device has gone over its subscribed data limit the past 2 months. During this time, you've noticed that the device runs hotter than normal and data speeds seem slower than usual. Which of the following should you consider as the cause of these issues? Device needs an operating system update. It might, but it's probably not the issue. The device is infected with malware. It's very possible. And the device is running low on available storage space. That's not really relevant. And the battery is failing, will need to be replaced. And once again, there was no indication of that. So B is our best answer. A network host with the IP address of 192.168.10.200 wants to send a message to the destination computer with the IP address of 192.168.10.100. Which of the following will the sending host use to determine whether the destination computer is on its own network or another network? Right? So DHCP servers just assign the IP addresses. You can't check see who's on what network. The subnet mask for these IP addresses will determine, because based on that subnet mask, will determine if they're on the same network or on different networks. And if they're on different networks, you'll need a router. So the subnet mask is correct. Default gateway addresses, that only applies if they're on different networks. Then the gateway address needs to be correct on whichever one is trying to send the message, so that you can get to the router to get to the other device. And DNS servers, that's just names to IP addresses or IP addresses to names. It's not going to help you whether it's on your network or not. So subnet mask will determine that. Isaac was assigned to work on a computer in his company's R&D department. While working on the system, Isaac received several text messages and emails from his coworkers about another issue in the data center. Isaac answered the text messages as they came in and finished working on the computer systems in the R&D department. The next day, Isaac was called into his supervisor's office. His supervisor told him that he received a complaint that Isaac was on his phone instead of working on the problem with the computer. What should Isaac have done differently to avoid this complaint? And they're saying avoid distractions. And so, right, it wasn't work related, and should have avoided the distractions. Writing documentation wouldn't have helped. Made sure he was culturally sensitive. Should, but that's not relevant to the question. And clarified with the client the nature of the problem. And so you just should have been working on the computer. A mobile device is freezing almost daily. The device remains powered on and the screen illuminated. The user restarts the device and it operates for another day or so. This problem has been occurring for several weeks. Which of the following steps should the user take next to resolve the issue? You're not going to factory reset the device. That's the last resort for anything. Return the device to the manufacturer. That's definitely the last resort. Delete all user data. That doesn't seem like a very valid idea. And then check for OS updates. Definitely out of all of these is at least an option. A company is in the middle of an operating system update to Windows 10 from Windows XP, Windows 7, and Windows 8X. The diverse nature of this update has made it imperative that the help desk techs have the ability to run several concurrent VMs. A few of the techs are experiencing frequent and extended periods of 100% CPU usage on their computers, and these spikes are limiting their ability to assist users in a timely manner. Which of the following is most likely causing the behavior? All right, so one or more VHDs are running out of free disk space, so virtual hard disk, that's just disk space. So you're running out of disk space. It's not going to affect your CPU utilization. Dynamic allocation of RAM is disabled. You'd be in a lot bigger hurt if you're not allocating RAM. And disabled hardware-assisted virtualization. You wouldn't be able to run the VMs if you didn't have virtualization turned on. Insufficient number of physical process cores. That would definitely cause CPU utilization because you're using too many CPU cycles, and so yeah, you don't have enough processing power to do what you're doing. All right, in Windows 10, what Task Manager tab shows running processes organized by apps, background processes, and Windows processes. And right, so Service tab now it's going to list services. Performance is going to give some performance, but applications, once again, give you some by applications, but I don't even think that is one, actually, to be honest. Let's do this. Oh. Sorry. Yeah, and it's app history. So applications, performance is there, right? It gives you some information with services, but it's the processes tab. So the processes tab gives you the apps, background processes, and Windows processes. All right. Lance works for a company that allows users to bring their own device to work. Last week, Lance purchased a software package from a company that allows him to change fonts on pictures that he uses in his work presentations. Lance wants to share the program with his coworker Susan. Is Lance allowed to share the software with Susan? Um, so he purchased software from a company. Um, so just because he purchased it doesn't mean he can share it. The software was purchased by Lance for the site license, can be used. Well, if it told us it did, then yeah, then that might be okay. Susan would need to purchase the software from the company. Yeah, that's very likely. That's usually the case. And so software is open source, so Lance can share the software with Susan. They should have told us it was, free or open source, but since he purchased it, C is most likely the answer. B could work. Once again, they would have told us that the company purchased a site license or something like that. But since Lance purchased it, it's probably a good bet that Susan needs to purchase it. Currently, James' company is using Radius for AAA services and to connect wireless users to the Windows Active Directory domain. However, the company wants to upgrade to a Cisco-based wireless network and would like to upgrade the older Radius. What will James recommend as an upgrade to Radius? All right, so Radius Plus doesn't exist. TACX Plus is a Cisco proprietary AAA service that is newer than Radius. So that is our correct answer. And then WPA2 and AAS are just encryption that's used on wireless. But so TACX Plus is the answer. What type of installation should you perform if you want to install a 64-bit version of Windows on a computer that already has a 32-bit OS installed? And that's just a clean install. You have to delete everything and start over, right? Um, although technically you could do a dual boot. I don't know. That's yeah, but you want to do a clean install if you want to install over or install instead of, right? You can't do an in-place upgrade. Standard's not really installation, but yeah, dual boot though, that seems like a very bad answer, but yeah, clean install. Um, You have connected an ADSL internet connection as shown in the exhibit. The ports at the phone jack are connected to the same single number POTS line. At what location we place the DSL filter, right? So you need to filter off the data, right? So it's the B, right? So you can't filter to the modem, right? Because it needs the data, and you can't filter it from the computer because it needs the data. But the phone doesn't need the filter, or it doesn't need the data. Um, what is another name for several small utility programs that are found in the control panel, right? Downloads that it's not a utility program. System processes are not utilities. Applets are utility programs in the control panel, and extensions are not found in the control panel. A company wants to purchase a device that will allow it to give customers a 3D tour of its facility. What kind of device would you recommend for this type of 3D tour? So we do have 3D tour capability, so A is not an option. A mobile VR headset. Um, well, I don't know. A tethered VR headset, right? Um, I guess they're saying is the best, but yeah, um, yeah, we'll go with the book on this one. um, all right, not even touch that one. All right, Danielle, a help technician, receives a call from a client. In a panic, he explains that he was using the internet to research a new product when his computer emitted an alarm, accompanied by a warning that a site had blocked his computer and that information was being stolen from the computer. The message included a phone number and a note to call the number within 5 minutes so the engineers could walk him through the removal process. What has happened to the customer's computer? Um, well, so no, it wasn't hijacked by a virus. The data is not being stolen, most likely, not until it calls the phone number. Um, it's not a real alert. The client should not call the number, right? Because the client received a fake security alert, and they're going to try and probably gain access or get access to the computer when he calls the number or gets credit card information or something of that nature. Uh, so a laser printer is displaying a message indicating a maintenance kit is due for replacement. Which of the following will be part of the replacement process? Um, so this is a laser printer, so it does not have a print ribbon or a print head, right? You will, okay, it's part of the process, okay. Yes, you'll reset the page counter, which tells you when the maintenance kit is due. Excuse me. And you won't clean the heating element, no. Uh, you'll most likely replace it with the fuser. So the master boot record method of partitioning hard drives is limited to what maximum size of drives, and that's just 2.2 terabytes, right? That's our MBR limit. Right. Hector is trying to use Windows Defender to run an antivirus scan. Windows Defender refuses to work. When he opens the Action Center, Hector realizes that Windows Defender has been disabled and another antivirus software is running. Hector does not recognize the other antivirus software. A type of attack has infected Hector's computer. It's definitely not spam. Definitely have a rogue antivirus running. Um, we're not dealing with anything with email, and there's not a security alert. Well, it should give you a security alert, but it's a rogue antivirus. All right, a new Cat6 cable run and Keystone jack were installed for a workstation that was moved from the sales department to the shipping department. Since the move, the user has been complaining of slow transfer speeds on both internet and local network communication. The technician ran a test and is viewing the following output on the tester. Um, the length is 454 feet over 138 meters, which is way over the 100-meter maximum for Ethernet cable. So it is B, the cable run exceeds the specifications for Ethernet over twisted pair. It's also at half duplex, so it would be slow anyway, and then 10 megabits is very slow. But statically set to 10 half duplex. Yeah. Yeah, A is probably the next best. C is not correct, right, at all, because it's not the switch port, but the network card. And the ISP is not experience issues. It's this long cable run. And then also this 10 half duplex. But B is the better answer because it was running before in the old location, which was probably closer. All right, a technician is using a network-attached desktop computer with a Type 2 hypervisor to run two VMs. One of the VMs is infected with multiple worms and other forms of known malware. The second VM is a clean installation of Windows. The technician has been tasked with logging the impact on the clean Windows VM when the affected VM attempts to infiltrate the clean VM through the network. What should the technician do to best protect the company LAN while performing these tests? All right, so A says to disable the virtual network interface controller in each VM. Well, if you do that, then they can't talk and you won't be able to watch what happens to the clean VM. B is to place both VMs on a virtual NIC that are isolated from the company's LAN. That will protect our company LAN and still allow us to see what happens to the clean VM. Encrypt each VM and the host using disk-based encryption is definitely not going to help us in this scenario. And enabling the software firewalls on each VM OS on the host OS. In some ways, you could probably get this to work, but it's probably not 100% protecting of the network. So B is the better answer. Just completely prevent it from going out to the LAN. Alexandria works for a non-for-profit company that asks for donations to help the homeless people in her community. Recently, the database that holds all the contact information about the donors was hacked and all the data was copied. What type of data was taken? All right, so holds all the contact information. So they're saying it's PII, personal identifiable information. And so because it's got their addresses and their phone numbers and things of that nature. So it's personally identifiable information, or PII. A group of wireless devices are using each other as relays to share a network connection across a large area. Which of the following network categories is being used? Uses across a large area. I'm thinking that is a type of WMN. Should be WAN, a WAN, wide area network, or wireless. Yeah, I guess WMN. Yeah, it's wireless LAN, a MAN, a metropolitan area network, a personal area network. It's definitely not the MAN. So a wide mobile network. That's what I guess that is, WMN. Not really familiar with one, to be honest, but yeah. But WMN. Lane received a phone call from a client. The client claimed that a file he was working on the day before had disappeared from his computer along with several other files. Lane went to the client's desk to see if she could rebuild the files from the backup done the night before. Lane found and rebuilt the files from the backup data. When Lane called the next morning to see if anything was working, if everything was working, the client said that two of his files were gone again. He also noticed new files in a folder. When Lane arrived, she checked to see how much free space the computer had available and found that it had 250 gigs less than the day before. What is the issue with the client's computer? They're saying it's a computer virus, right? Bad hard drive driver, they wouldn't have access to anything most likely. Spam has to do with email. Corrupt hard drive, once again, you wouldn't have access to anything. So the best alternative here is the computer virus is causing issues. Yeah. All right, we'll do one more here. Um, Kevin recently discovered the unknown processes are running in the background on his company's web server. During the performance review, noticed that the CPU is working at 80% during downtimes. Kevin believes the software is running that software is running in the background and causing the CPU to run at such a high percentage. Kevin discovers that his server, along with several other computers in the company, have been used to perform a distributed denial of service on another website. What type of attack occurred? So on the servers, right, in their company, they're part of a botnet, right? They're doing DDoS or denial of service attacks, but they themselves have been taken over by and become a part of the botnet. So, all right. That's where I'm going to stop for today's review. I'll go ahead and post the video. I'll post this file here too. Let's see here. Let me go ahead and grab this. I'll put this all in you can see all 80 questions in a Word document. I'll put that in the week 15 folder. And then you'll have access to this to review at your own leisure. And then I'll go over some more questions. I'll probably go over the rest of these questions on Tuesday. Um, so any questions, any concerns or anything for the cause? No. So I have a question about the makeup exam. Oh, yeah. Hold on. Sure. Final review. That's for some students that had issues. They didn't have a computer, and we didn't get computers to them till late. So there's a makeup exam for those students.
So you're saying we already got the grade on that one. We are not allowed to do that.
Right. Right. You already got a grade on that one, right? If you've already taken exam 3, which you should have, I believe, but yeah, so it's not. You could take it as a practice. You're not gonna get a grade for it. It's not gonna help your grade one way or the other. You know, but it's there for those students that had issues with connectivity and computers, whether they were in the hospital or something. Yeah, because I don't remember. There's a couple of students, but between my 4 classes, that they had other issues, and so I have makeup exams. But it's for those reasons.
And when is our final exam is opened, or?
Yeah, it's open. It's available, or it should be available right now. Just do the quizzes, practice right before you take it. But it is available to do right now. So anytime.
Yeah, I'll read all these the things you are doing. We did the review today and the
Yeah.
last week. I'll read that first before doing the exam. So
Okay. Yeah. Do that and do some practice quizzes, right?
yes, sir.
do those and be sure you're ready, because once you take it, you take it, right?
Yes, sir.
But yeah, and then look at this review here that I'm just posting here, this final review too,
Mm-hmm.
in the week 15. Um,
Mhm.
so right here, you have the 80 questions that we just went over. That's a good quick way to review for the exam.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
let me go ahead and stop my screen sharing. Any other questions?
No, sir. And thank you for your support.